Well, good morning, Michigan City. Good morning. Welcome to the State of the City. I'm so honored to be the mayor of Michigan City. As you can hear, my voice has been gone for about two weeks now. And I'm trying to get it back, but I talk a lot. So today I will give you an update on what our administration has started with on day one, what has happened over the last 100 days, and then the goals for the remainder of the year. I would like to thank and acknowledge several people today. First of all, Mr. Holcraft, Tony Thomas, and Arturo Pozos for their assistance in using the Stan Holcraft Auditorium this morning. Give them a round of applause. He was my theater teacher here at Elston. Next, I would like to just say thank you to the elected officials that are here, specifically our Common Council, who are partners in our journey. We have Councilman Don Privilinski at large, Councilman Bryant Dabney, Councilman Greg Coulter, and Councilman Tim Beatry, who was my principal here at Elston. Give them a round of applause. I don't know if there are any other elected officials. I saw Joey Winsky. I don't know if I saw anybody else, but again, thank you for being here this morning. And then last but not least, for all of our department heads and our city employees who are here in the audience today, right now, we've been going through a transition, and I am so proud of them and the way that they have handled things. We still have some growing pains. Let me say this. I'm a mother hen, and I will tell you that I'm very direct with our team, and I'm very sometimes I'm very strong in my language with them. I'm learning to be better about that, but I expect nothing but excellence from our team. So again, even though, and I talked about this with Tamiko this morning, I like speaking in public, but I have a lot of ums, and I'm gonna say a lot today, so bear with me. Even though there was a transition meeting of only 15 minutes with the last administration, I saw it as the greatest opportunity for Michigan City to start with a clean slate. Citizens spoke, out with the old and in with the new. And when I say new, I mean new ways of doing business, new residents participating in city government, and new ideas. I learned really quick that building a culture of safety, accountability, and pride had to be a priority for our administration. What this means to me is that I have to be the standard, and that I have to set the example on creating a welcoming environment, not only to our residents, but to our employees. I also need to find creative ways to communicate. So this means I welcome people into my office. I answer the phone sometimes and personally swear in all of my mayoral appointments, give oaths to new police and firemen and women, and these daily tasks are very important to me. You can go to the next slide. Next one, I'm sorry. So this is what I do. Every week is somebody in the office, and I was amazed at how many people tell me they have never stepped foot in the mayor's office, even employees who have never been in the mayor's office. And I found that interesting and fascinating, since the mayor's office should be the hub of the city. So it should be a welcoming environment for people to come, have a conversation. Again, shout out to Isabel, who's at the front. Where's Isabel at? Oh, she's in the back. Okay. Isabel is at the front window handling business. And I think it's important that we do this on an ongoing basis. Go to the next slide. So a lot has been happening for me over the last 100 days. And I thought it was important to learn from more experienced mayors and seek training. Since winning the election and taking office, I have gone to Mayor School, U.S. Conference of Mayors meeting, the Mayors Institute, and I've had several one-on-ones with several current and former mayors that are retired from across Indiana. And these conversations have spurred ideas and forced me to realize that I had some hard decisions to make over the next years, and that I can't do this alone. The council is a very important piece of that puzzle, but so are the citizens, and so are the department heads and the employees. Also, you also need help from the state and the federal legislators. So I've met with Congressman Mervan multiple times and staffers from Senator Braun's and Senator Young's office. So over the next 3 hours, I'm going to provide you a comprehensive plan for Michigan City. And we're going to tell you everything we're going to do. No, I'm joking, right? You can go to the next slide. So I will say I am a cheerleader. I'm a cheerleader. Nobody can say that I don't represent Michigan City no matter where I'm at, whether I'm in Washington, D.C., whether I'm in Indianapolis, whether I'm in Gary, South Bend, Elkhart, wherever it is. I am a cheerleader for Michigan City. I thought it was very important over the first 100 days that people understood where I stand, that I'm going to tout Michigan City, I'm going to cheerlead, and I'm going to bring all the resources I can back to Michigan City. And so I had someone say, well, you're always gone. No, I'm not. You guys don't know I'm gone until I come back. So again, I think this is important that Michigan City is respected and that they have confidence in the mayor to be able to not only respond, but act as well. Next slide. So our focus has really been on our employees. I don't have many notes for this stuff, so I'm just going to talk about this stuff. So we have Dax. Dax is in the audience somewhere. He's our consultant that has been helping me with the structure of the departments and some of the changes that we're going to be going through over the next several months. In talking with other mayors, there's always a director of public works. I don't think we've ever had that. Right now I have 18 direct reports. 18 direct reports. That's a lot. We've held regular staff meetings, and we're reviewing all of our policies. We have some gaps in our HR policies, and we know that. And those are things that we're trying to fix. But then the next piece is creating a culture of safety in our employees. So as you can see, we've had a couple of staff meetings. We have one Friday coming up this Friday, but our agenda is about policy, safety, any special topics like records retention, which we have a lot of things we got to get done, training updates, and our budget. So we've had one-on-one sessions. I've had one-on-one sessions with all my direct reports. And then we sit down with different groups. I've sat down with planning department. We have a couple of people that show up in my office almost every day. I'm not going to call them out because I'm going to tell them, look, no, I'm just kidding. But they do show up. But it's a good thing because we're able to react to things in real time because of having access. The department heads know they can come and see me whenever they need to. And that's important. It's not you got to set an appointment 3 weeks later. Department heads, if they catch me on the fly, we sit down and we deal with it right then and there. Next slide. So one of the first things that we partner with the City Council on is workforce development. And we have a newly created position. That's Ms. Keela Ward is our Director of Workforce and Education. So previously, that position was the Promise Scholarship. She's a very busy person, and there's going to be some changes with the scholarships. You know, I listened to some of the complaints of these parents when it's 2 months later after the due date for the Promise Scholarship for them to turn their stuff in. Yeah, I'm calling everybody out today. But all I'm saying is patience is a virtue. And what I have her doing right now is meeting with Center for Workforce Innovation, with the school systems, spending a lot of time and effort on what are we going to do. You're going to hear a little bit about the Opportunity Hub, but she's the lead on that. But she's also the lead on our internship program. So that position has expanded threefold. threefold, because what's going to start happening is we have to figure out how to skill up our residents as well. So you'll see $500,000 was appropriated for our internship pilot, and I'm happy to say we have 20 interns starting on May 28th this year. 20. Go back. 20 that are starting this year. So that's almost in every department. And part of this money is also for training and development of our employees. We've had several trainings that have happened. We brought on a safety consultant to assist us. We've done some training with the refuse department, the street department. There's some leadership development training that is going to start occurring as well. Because I think it's important as leaders that we understand, number one, they understand what their role is as a leader, but that they're going to have some crucial conversations, some difficult conversations, some things that may not be comfortable for them. So it's important for me to give them the tools that they need to do that. We also have the small business grant program that is underway right now. I think so far they've had 22 applications. Now you can go to the next one. So this was our leadership internship fair. It's one of those things. I consider this workforce development because we want these people to experience Michigan City, get professional development, and then come back and work for Michigan City at some point in time. So we're happy about that. Next one. Employee engagement. So we had a friendly competition here, and we're going to be kicking off an employee engagement survey in May, where the employees is not a gripe session about your boss. It really isn't. What it is getting feedback from all of the employees on good things and bad things. We know that we have gaps, but we understand that there hasn't been a voice really for our employees. And then we're getting ready to establish and kick off. Dan McCoy is here in the audience. I see him over there. We are going to be kicking off safety committees. And these safety committees are going to be driven by employees, not management. Not by me, but really by the employees. There should be building level safety committees. We have to make sure that we understand that what an emergency plan is. It hasn't happened in a long time, but that's where we're going. And then friendly competitions like this one that Kayla from the park department put together. So we were over 1,400 pounds and 2,600 items. She was a rock star. This is our Pantries in the Park program that is expanding. And you'll see more friendly competitions like this to help raise more money for youth organizations. Next slide. This is when I learned what team is. So the first month, everybody in the country that I know called me. I felt like I changed my number after that. We saw you on the news in San Antonio. And I was like, okay, this is where we really learned about ourselves real quickly. We learned where our gaps were. We learned what our strengths were, where our weaknesses were. You name it. Even Kelly calling a meeting of the department heads that were involved to City Hall to find 3 feet of snow and they couldn't even get in the door. Just things you don't think about. But I will tell you, and you can go to the next slide. There was a lot going on, and I would like you all to give them a round of applause, everybody that worked that storm, because we had people who didn't get days off. There was a lot of overtime, maintenance equipment issues. Everybody had to work together. But one of the things that was important, because the water department, man, we had a main that was busted, during the storm. And I just said, oh, okay, Lord. Okay, what are we doing here? Because this is a lot. And people are calling about the water. But one thing that I've learned working in the utility industry is that the over communicate, and let people know what's happening. If you let them know what's happening and give them the understanding behind it, they're more compassionate or empathetic about the situation. Everybody is not going to be happy. And one thing I will tell you that came out of that post brief, and I shared with some of the department heads, we are not going to run all over the city because somebody complained. They're going to have to wait in line like everybody else. Everybody is important, not just the loudest mouth. Those days are gone. Okay? Those days are gone. Because you know what that does for our team? It takes them out of their rhythm. It's less efficient. It causes more time. And that's what we're used to doing. Run all over town because somebody called. We're not going to do that. There's going to be a process, but part of that process has to be the city being better about vehicles to communicate. The reason why that has been occurring is because we have a phone system. We have a phone system that is created for you not to reach anybody. So that is what we're working on technology-wise, because I know that that's an issue. But I'm going to tell you, we had 2 snowstorms in 2 weeks and then an ice storm. And I'm just going to shout out the refuse department right now real quick, because everybody was calling. I'm like, look, the trucks are breaking down. You know, this is what's happening. You got people off. People are working 12 hours, 10 hours. They have to go home to their families too. And safety is a priority for me. I want our employees to go home safely, and I'm not going to risk them. So your trash may not get picked up when it's a situation like that. How many cities can say they got 36 inches in 2 days? Right? Nobody, not many. So really just, we appreciate the public being so supportive of our employees during that time. You can go to the next one. So building a safety culture, thank you for this slide, Dan. So we're in the established phase, an establishment phase that we're going to be kicking off in May. Our goal is to get to, go from established to implementation to managing a safety program. And what that looks like too is having some type of technology to make sure that we're doing our evaluations, if there's an issue with equipment, all of those things. That's what building a safety culture looks like. Next slide. And we have a safety pledge. I'm going to sign it, and we're going to ask the employees to sign it. I think we have to have buy-in from the employees, and they're going to build that program. It's not going to be me dictating a program. It's going to be the employees building that program. Next. All right, we're going to talk money. I don't think we talk about money much at these, but we're going to talk money. This is our budget. Our controller's office. So we have a secret door. I don't know if people know this in the mayor's office. And it goes between the mayor's office and the controller's office. And I can tell you every day, all day, back and forth between the controller's office and the mayor's office. And it's not my Bible, but it's my fake Bible. But the budget book is about this big, and I'm in it every single day. But our budget is $73 million. That's a lot of dough. So we're going to talk about it so that the public can understand a little bit. So I know you can't read these numbers. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about it. I'm going to go to my notes a little bit on here. I think I got some notes so that I don't mess up something and somebody misquote me. I got a new laugh. I love it with my voice. But we have 40 different classification of funds in the city. 40. The largest one is the general fund. You know, I know we talk about taxpayers. Did you say that? Okay. 40 different funds and 6 classifications. And the general fund, you can see, is about 50%, you know, our tax levy, you know, the money that we get. Of that 73 million, it's about half. It's about half of the money. And you can see there's a couple of other ones lit. But the general fund, so this is our general fund. So about half of 73 million, keep that in mind. I'm a math person, I'm sorry. 73 million, half. Okay, so this is our general fund. That big orange pie is salaries and benefits. That's what that is. All of that is salaries, benefits, vacation, sick pay, all of that. Big chunk of money, right? Go to the next slide. This is our budget by classification again. And this has, let me say this. $73 million does not include sanitary district, water, or the Port Authority. $73 million. So when I talk to people, they say, well, you know, don't treat it as a business. $73 million, you better be treating your city government as a business so that we don't waste money. So that's very important. Again, personal service, 51%. Then we have our capital, our transfers, other services, supplies. Next slide. Police and fire make up about $23 million, $24 million of the money for salary and benefits. They're our largest departments too, right? So when you break that down, 51% of that 37 million, right? And then you have 69% from the general fund. So the police and fire make up the majority of that money. Police and fire, public safety. Next slide. Our capital outlay. Most of the money in our capital outlay are some of our grants that we have matching dollars for. Riverboat is the majority of that money. We do have public health and safety, our public safety lit, but we have our MVH funds as well that make up the local road and street. They help fund our street department, but also our paving program. So this is our capital outlay for the year, about $5.6 million. Next slide. ARPA funds. So we received $16.5 million. And this is a breakdown, and I'll make sure that these slides are available. But we've appropriated $14.4 million of that, broken out into premium pay, administrative costs, disproportionate economic impact, revenue replacement. We bought vehicles and equipment with that. We also put $1 million back into the nonprofits, and we have $1 million for small businesses. So we have about $2.1 million left. And the council will be having a workshop here early May to discuss the remaining money. Some of the things that I've shared with the council president, Don Pribilinski, you know, we talk about communicating with the public and our website and our branding. We know there's a lot to be said or about it, and we know we need to move into a better way of communicating with the public. So I'll be asking the council for money for that, but then we're going to turn around and talk about housing and some other opportunities and some projects that the council want to do. Next slide. Okay, relationships matter. Relationships matter when you're begging for money. I'm a beggar of money. I have no problem saying that. I'll ask everybody for money. But having relationships with the federal government and the state are important in what happens next. You can go to the next slide. So I'm going to move over here so I can see this. So let me say this. Today is a good day. So today, CCMG was announced, and Michigan City was awarded $1.48 million almost. So we got our full amount. So guess what that means? We have $5 million in paving projects this year that are going to be completed. And I will say this, and I would like to thank Global Engineering for helping us with that. But let me say this. I was told, and I spoke to some other mayors, well, it's too soon. You just got in office. I said, look, one thing you're not going to have me back away from is money. If the grant is out there, we're going to go get it first. Because what if that money runs out and there's no second time? You just never know what will happen. So we are doing $5 million in paving this year. And you can't tell me that I should wait. I'm not one of those people who's going to listen. I'm not going to listen to that. You should wait on that. No, we got it. I don't think people thought we would get it, but we got it. So that's a beautiful thing. Next, raise. Oh, go back. I'm going down the list. I'm sorry. Our raise dollars. So we're working with American Structure Point, and that was due in February. So CCMG was due in January. We had 3 storms, and we got that grant done. Raise was due the end of February. Worked with Sylvia. Where's Sylvia? Sylvia, God bless you. She put up with us to get that grant in February. And that grant is a transformational grant. This is a planning grant for Michigan Boulevard. Man, I didn't put Michigan Boulevard up there. I just said Carroll Ave to Highway 12. Oh, yes, I did. Okay. All right, I'm reading now. So if we get this planning grant, this is a multi-year project. We will be able to revitalize Michigan Boulevard. And I will say this about Michigan Boulevard. Last year, as a member of the Redevelopment Commission, we expanded and connected our south and our north TIF. And now Michigan Boulevard is included. What this means for Michigan Boulevard is a revitalization. It means another way of financing to support development in that area. And that's why we thought this was the best use of that raise money. So if we get these grants, the planning piece is one thing, but the actual construction and implementation is about $20 million. So we have our fingers crossed, but that relationships, we had the senators write a letter, we had the congressmen write a letter, we had the IEDC, we had everybody. We reached out to everybody to get a letter of support for that grant, and we got to submit it. So we are, pray on that, y'all. Pray on that one. But yes, we are moving forward. And then we have Ready 2.0. I have a couple of slides I'll share with you. Our submissions were really around housing and workforce development. Congressional earmark. There's 2 projects that were submitted. I'd like to thank the sanitation department for helping us with that grant, but with 2 different grants, and I'll tell you about them. But the earmark is through Congressman Mervan's office. So I was bold enough to ask for $11 million. I don't know if we'll get it, but I submitted 2 things. I submitted a capacity project for sewer infrastructure, and then an opportunity campus. And I was sharing with Arturo, Mr. Holcraft, that we want a community center, not just a sports complex. So I asked for $7 million to do that for next year. And it may be a lofty goal, but why not? Why not? So, and then we have this new program that was announced. So, and I was so thrilled to be at my Mayor's Institute meeting last week. So there's a new grant. It's a Residential Infrastructure Fund grant. And we submitted for $22 million. And 2 of them are workforce housing projects, and one is the same sewer infrastructure project. But let me say this. It was due, everybody's working on Good Friday, trying to get this, it was due into March. So the state was worried that people weren't going to weren't applying for it. They had no applications in. And so at our event last week, they said that, hey, there were 14 projects, or did I say 14? You remember? 15 projects were submitted and not requesting $90 million. There's $75 million available. And of those, Michigan City submitted three. We turned in 3. So I think we have a good chance of getting one, at least one. So I said that is actually some good odds. So I'm banking on our odds, y'all. I love the odds. And the last one, digital equity grant, connecting families to broadband. So I submitted a grant. It's been a month and a half ago, and it's really. Let me see if I wrote any other notes. Nope, I didn't. Well, let me tell you, it's about connecting families to broadband. And it's kind of an expansion of what the Redevelopment Commission has been working with the school system on. If you go to the next one. Oh, it's further down, but I'll talk more about it. But I do want to talk about READY because I want you to see what we submitted. So READY, this is the second round of READY. There's a READY 1.0 and this is READY 2.0. And this is through, we work with the Northwest Indiana Forum on this. If you go to the next slide, this is what we submitted. I want you all to see this. We talk about housing and we talk about high-end living, but we know there's a gap in the middle. We know there's a gap with our workforce, with units, but we submitted 3 projects. And the first one, Singing Sands, that one actually is at 8th and Michigan Boulevard. Uptown Arts Residence, that one is actually on Washington. That picture don't do it justice, but it's on Washington between the 7th and 8th Street blocks. And then we have the Lakeshore Teachers Villages and working and cooperating with Michigan City area schools on public service workforce units. I'm not going to tell you where that's at, but that's an awesome project. And these are great opportunities. If we get these, this changes the face of Michigan City. And once we talk about the prison a little bit more, you'll understand why. But we're talking about 1,400 units possibly going online in my administration. That's a big number of units. That's our residents who are currently underhoused, finding housing that is new with amenities, all of that, important. Next is our finalists. This is out of order. I'm so sorry, y'all. That was supposed to be before that, but so I submitted this grant and was notified at the middle of last month that we are one of 10 finalists to receive this grant in June when I go to the Conference of Mayors. And this is exciting because I think it's important that we find those gaps for residents that we could provide some type of financial literacy, broadband, access to the internet. All those things are important. So we're a finalist for that grant. So we'll know in June. I'm coming back with a trophy. And the odds are good for this one because we're one of 10 finalists, but they pick 4 people, 4 cities. 4 cities will get it. Next one. I know Nancy isn't here, but I have to shout her out. Nancy may get on my nerves when it comes to grants and stuff, because Nancy is a grant person too. Nancy Molinauer is our 6th Ward council person. And when I tell you her tenacity on this was next to none, I'm telling you, I was like, oh, we got to get this done, because if we don't get it done, she's going to be, first of all, mad. And then number 2, she'll never let me live it down. So she got it. $98,000. She got it. With some support from our staff, but she did most of the work. So we got a $98,000 planning grant for energy efficiency and conservation, and she did it as a member of the Sustainability Commission. She did it on her own. So we need to commend her for that, because this is big as we start transitioning to renewable energy and looking at our efficiencies in our buildings. Next one. So these are the grants we've received already and that we're implementing. So Ready 1.0, this is a submission that I submitted as a member of the council, city council, and we'll talk a little bit about it, but we received $329,000. And that process has started. Well, we're getting ready to start it. So what that means is we put out an RFP and sought out or I would say consultants, money people, to come in and be the consultant to own this process for us. And I think we're finalizing that process here in the next. So we had 8, that's unusual. So we had 8 people submit for our RFP. We typically get 2 or 3. So we had 8. So narrowed it down to 3, and I think they have identified who they're going to go with, which I'm happy about. Then our tree grant. Where's our forester? Oh, he's in the corner. He's been bad. So we have a new forester, Michael Wolf, and we have a $1 million tree grant. And right now, I will tell you, Mary Nell Murphy is in here, and Tim Werner was on the tree board. And that board put in a lot of effort to get this done. And so now, over the next couple of years, you're going to see some things happening. And the cool thing about the tree grant is that it really is really focusing on disaffected areas of the city. So more to come on that. And then we already received our CCMG 2023. So that's the $2 million plus the $3 million is the $5 million. So again, we got more grants underway. Definitely Miss Robin Tillman Barzoni, our transit director. I'm gonna call her the grant queen because she can write a grant too, and she manages quite a bit with these federal grants. Next slide. So this is our Ready 1.0 reimagination study. So the RFQ, like I said, we've gone through that process. Our goal is to adopt a vision by the end of 2026. We don't own the property, y'all, but the state gave us the money to do the study. So that means something. Something's going on for them to give us the money to do the study, right? And we're trying to figure out, what is this going to look like? Look at that square. That could be a city. I mean, that's a huge piece of land. Go to the next slide. It's 100 acres. It's 100 acres. And so my friend Judge Stallbrink, he mentioned something to me the other day. He said, "Do you remember in 2008 when you started talking about getting rid of the prison?" I said, "No." I said, "I don't." He said, "Yeah, we talked about it." I said, "Okay, I'll take that." But I knew the blight and what the prison represents. And the prison for me always represented poverty to me and blight in a city. That's what it represented to me. And I knew that this is something that I was going to either lead the charge and cry to the state and do all these things. But I also know from a financial perspective that the prison is the water department's biggest customer. Did y'all know that? See, you need to look at all the economics around things that you do. Your decisions impact other things. So we have to make sure whatever we do on this site kind of balances that out, right? So again, we are excited that we're starting this process. Next slide. The Opportunity Hub, I won't spend a lot of time, but this is Keela Ward is taking the lead on this. Go to the next slide. We had submitted in collaboration, if you go to the next slide, in collaboration with Center for Workforce Innovation and others for the READY grant to create an Opportunity Hub, and it's a co-working, I would say, space. But what it is we want a one-stop shop for families to have a place to go for all services. And whether that's opportunities for youth, childcare, employment, training, adult education, whatever that might be, that's what the hub is. And there are multiple cities that are a part of this project. We met yesterday to talk through it, and part of the money I asked Congressman Mervan informally about in that preliminary application was how do we create a community, not just an opportunity hub, but an opportunity campus, so that the community center that everybody wants is included. But this is a big deal if we can get something like this. And there are a lot of players at the table, the YMCA, the Goodwills, Salvation Army, you name it, they're at the table. Next slide. And the reason why we need it, this is some of the data from Michigan City. So you can see what it is. 41% economically distressed. Poverty, 41%. Oh, let me clarify. In the census tracts identified on the east side, Midtown, and the west side. That's where this data is for those areas specifically. Labor force participation, no post-high school education, low median income levels. That's why the hub is needed. Next slide. And this also is a direct relation to Vibrant Michigan City, where a lot of people participated from the community in helping us to create a playbook. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to enhance what that looks like and how we continue. Because if we elevate these areas of town, we hear people complain, if we elevate all parts of town, all of Michigan City will be successful. So, and again, we were kind of like a guinea pig. These institutions deal with large cities like LA, Detroit, Chicago. And we were happy to be selected with Seymour. I was with my peers last week in Seymour and Warsaw. So this is a great thing. And what came from that is the next slide, where the council also helped pay for a community development manager to make sure that we don't lose the momentum of Vibrant Michigan City. So this is where now we have somebody who's going to help us, who's helping with all these different things, including the Neighborhood Leadership Academy, which we're bringing back, where we're going to ask citizens to go through a leadership program, understanding city government and how they can help improve the neighborhoods in each ward. So, all right, now I got to fly through these. All right, let's go. Let's see. Okay, Michigan City Departments and Employees. Let's go to the next slide. So, all roads start. Where is my end at? And end here. They cut it off. All right, well, all roads start and end in these 4 areas. There is nothing that can happen without the Controller's Office, Human Resources, and the Legal Department. And let me tell you, this is where that tough love comes with some of these department heads. They have these grand ideas, and I said, did you talk to the Controller's Office? Did you talk to Amber? Or did you talk to Tatanisha? Well, don't come talk to me until you talk to them. Because there's a process. Money does not grow on trees. And between these offices, they keep me grounded. Anything I ask for, They tell me, yeah, no, Mayor. Tatanisha, she'll be like, well, Mayor. And so between them, Kelly and Isabel, this is where everything starts, right? You have to go there. But the next slide is even more important. IT. Where's IT Andy? Oh, he's behind me. I tell him, did you talk to Andy about that? So Andy is phenomenal. His team is not only IT, but they do facilities. They can build a wall, tear down a wall, put a roof in, they can do whatever you ask them to do. But I've had him super busy. He's looking at opportunities for us to enhance our internet and fiber capabilities throughout the city, but also working with the departments on different platforms. One in particular that is important as we get a new website is we just put out an RFP for software solution for planning and inspection and code enforcement. And this will allow residents and contractors a way to, number one, submit for permits, to track issues that they have, to see it in real time, back and forth. It's a customer service management tool. And right now we have this much customer service, because we don't have a communication back and forth. And I know this, the council knows it. We get complaints. We've been getting complaints forever. So now we're going to take a step forward and find a solution. We've also implemented Kentone. Is Connie here, Connie Adams? Connie back there is our refuse inspector. And he's been working with Andy for several months in getting a way for us to identify piles of trash. I get calls for trash, and I see my friend Sel Dunlap in the audience. And, again, efficiency is important. And if we're just running from one end of town to another end of town, back to this end of town, and we don't have a way to map out picking up these piles of trash, you spend a lot of time just driving. And so the way Kentone works, it actually is connected to like Google Maps, and you can actually like pin drop the address, or at least get an accurate location of where these piles are. But what it also does, it forces them to take pictures before and after. Because what happens a lot of times? You go pick it up. Well, you did this, you did that. No. We took a picture before and we took a picture after. Because we also need to protect our employees when they're doing this kind of work as well. So that's underway. They're starting to use it, but they're trying to work the kinks out of it. I know we're in spring cleanup, but just bear with us. Next slide. Public Works. You can go to the next slide. I'm just going to hit these. You can hit the next slide. Planning and inspection. We added an additional building inspector. We put out a new code enforcement officer that's out now for people to apply. And that's really to support and manage the code enforcement team, but also to handle our responsible bidder ordinance and our hiring ordinance to make sure that we get city residents on these jobs. But that's why the Opportunity Hub is important. We have to make sure that they're skilled to take the job, right? They've been providing grant support for CCMG, Raise RIF, all of those. Code enforcement this year, we had 362 new cases, 250 of those are closed, right? And 82 citations issued for $23,000 in fines. So you will, from our administration, you'll get numbers, you'll get data, because people, they don't do this and they don't do that. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You're about to see some tonnage in a minute. Go to the next slide. Engineering in the street department. We got a new city engineer January 29th. And he's one of them people that shows up in my office all the time, Tim. But again, we send him everything. It's kind of like the the hodgepodge of anything that's a complaint gets to Tim. And then Tim turns around and decides if it needs to go somewhere else or not. Just like with our street department, they're kind of in that same boat. You know, when it comes to Board of Works, is like everything that comes to the Board of Works, I feel like Sean has to deal with it. But we do, let me say this about Winter Storm Indigo. He was the lead on that. And again, like I said, we learned a lot. And we have some gaps that we know we want to get done. But also, this abandoned vehicle project. So people talk about derelict vehicles. Oh, we have a list. We have a list now. So between street, refuse, vector, we have a list of abandoned boats, cars, campers, and I want the public to know we're going to tag you here soon. And but what I really want you to know is that we're going to give you some time. We're going to give you an extended period of time to get it resolved, and hopefully I'm going to be asking the council for a little support. I know people go through difficult times, so if there is some additional needs, for instance, I know of someone whose father passed away, and they've been trying to clean this yard for months. Can't afford to do it by themselves, elderly. Well, we need to put something in place to support those people. We can't just tag them and expect them to pay when they can't. So that's where the ARPA money comes in, that we need to support figuring out how we're going to help those citizens clean up their yards. My goal is by July 1 that we clean all that up and we give them an opportunity to fix it. All right. So I didn't have a full slide for them, so I threw them all together. So the water department I talked to, we got the sanitation department. I've mentioned them already, but I didn't have a full slide. And then forestry, he's out there every day. It feels like let me say this, and at our Friday department meeting, they're all gonna hear it. Anything tree related goes through this man, Michael Wolf, right? And we have to make sure that we're not cutting down trees for the sake of cutting down trees. We have to have a replacement program. There's some things that we've discussed and that he's working on as far as a fee structure, but we also don't want contractors who are not licensed in the city of Michigan City cutting trees. So we're working through that. He's been working through that, and it's gonna be a good thing. Next slide. Refuse. So we have a new full-time superintendent. We've had some staffing. Oh, here we go. It's leaving again. Staff and equipment issues. We shared that at a city council meeting. Training. We've done some training. Refuse inspections and citations. I mentioned Mr. Adams. And then spring cleanup is underway. But I wanted to talk about this picture. This was on Hoosier Equipment's Facebook page. And and Daryl Garbacek is our central maintenance director. They were able to take 2 trucks that were broke down and could not be used really, and take what they needed off both to create a working truck. You know, trucks that were sitting. And I thought that was amazing that they were able to do that. To take 2 to create one that's creative. That's a creative way of doing things. And we have to do that more often because these trucks are not cheap. They're expensive. And so that was just a great, and they posted it. They were so excited that they were able to do it that they posted it on their page. Next one. So spring cleanup is underway. Hopefully you've seen that. Don't send me any emails complaining with exclamation points about your pickup. We're going to get to you. We are trying. I'm going to make sure that I ask the vector control and the refuse foreman to ride around town. We need everybody's help, even police. If you see a pile, anybody, any of you see something, it's easier for us to communicate with one another if we see something and to shoot over an address so that we can get these areas picked up. All right. Vector control. See, people talk about these departments, don't know what they're talking about. It's 18,990 pounds of trash was picked up. That's a lot of trash, y'all. You tell your families to stop throwing trash out on these streets. And we have to hold our neighbors accountable because this is ridiculous. In the first quarter, that's a lot of trash. So I'm happy that they are keeping a record of the streets that they're picking up and how much they're picking up. But they maintain all of our city properties. You know, they do the mowing, they do the snow removal. And right now, I know that Brett is working with Kelly to figure out how we can get some additional support from state prison. And then the Redevelopment Commission approved some additional monies to help with some additional manpower, but also to keep the Redevelopment Commission properties looking good. Because a lot of times we'll put that out to contract and there'll be a contractor from out of town. We'll get a call or complaint, then we have to call them, then wait on them to come. Now you just call Brett, and then they go do it. So that was a great partnership for our team. So, and they also support Refuse and Street. Next, cemetery. Man, Roxanne and Jeff, you're supposed to be up here. So our superintendent, Jeff Lineski, and Roxanne are in the back. But I will say this. What a breath of fresh air. And I mean that he did it. So I went to a presentation, and he recently did a presentation for the council. He has an exhaustive list. And we sat down in our one-on-one to talk about prioritizing what we need to get done. So the priority was safety and OSHA stuff that we wanted to get completed, and that was brought to the council. I know that we'll need some additional funds, and you'll see some additional funding over the course of the year to get the cemetery the way it needs to be. It's been neglected for a long time, and we're going to fix that. Transit, I'm going to tell you, Robin has her house in order. And I might have to have her teach some leadership development classes to our team. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna step on any toes. I'll wait till Friday to talk to y'all. But some of the things that she's done already is reestablishment of the transit triangle. We got new bus shelters, but her grants are like, I don't like to look at them because they are so complicated and convoluted. But we are looking at some additional grants, but she's about to go under her Federal Transit Authority review. And it's a 3-year review. It's like an audit. She's in the midst of that. So they're heads down right now in that, because that's coming up in the next month. Next slide. Our airport. Jessica is the only one over there. Only female over there. What? Okay, you see how they did that. I told them they didn't have enough room on their chairs because they all big body people, right? And then they got Jessica on the end. But Jessica. But the Michigan City Airport is going through an expansion. And this is, so that you know, this is Michigan Boulevard. You're going to go under now. The runway is coming across. You see that Welcome to Michigan City sign? It's going to be all lit up. But this is a big project. This is a huge project. And her assistant director, those two have to be on. Somebody has to be there at all times. And they're talking 56 jobs. expanded runways, and we're going to have, more planes coming into Michigan. Well, more jets coming into Michigan City, and that's a good thing because we want larger companies to start coming to see Michigan City, and this is an opportunity for that. Next slide. Central maintenance. So Daryl is like, he shouldn't drink coffee. He shouldn't eat sugar. He is like the Energizer Bunny on steroids. But I'll tell you, central maintenance is different than what it has been before. He's working with the city departments. He's managing his budget, doing a lot of analysis and invoicing. We just did the fuel pump project, and then they've been remediating the facility. So one of the things, and I try not to go backwards, but I am, we found that we had a lot of invoices that were unpaid from last year that we're paying this year in multiple departments. And that's problematic for a new mayor when I didn't set the budget, right? So we're working through that and trying to make sure that we pay our bills. We don't want to be a city that's known for not paying their bills. So there's been multiple changes that have happened over the last 2 months that I won't get into, but we have to, as a city, show that we pay our bills and that we're about our business. And I'll tell you, Daryl is about his business. And I think that sometimes it's what it is. I'm a numbers person, and he's already through 42% of his repair budget right now because of it. And what month are we in? April? Almost half, and we're not even halfway through the year. So that's important to know. Next slide. Next slide. Public health and safety, police and fire. So our fire department, you go to the next slide. Calls for service so far this year, we've had 24 calls for fires, 926 rescue and medical assists, 30 service calls, 25 false alarms. So I think that's tracking about a little normal, a little bit higher than normal. Sound Off program grant that has been received at Chief Barrett Taylor and his team. This is our safety, going to be our safety program for our elementary school kids, and then our fire department will go in and, for those who want them, provide and install smoke detectors. And then the next thing that's up is operating our standard operating procedures with Lexipol, which the police uses. But this is just some of our community outreach things that they've been doing out in the public, and they're joining local or regional boards that are related to public health and safety. You go to the next one, police. We've hired 7 probationary officers. We're at probably 80 officers. Conducted a hiring event, joined District 1 Council. Crisis intervention training, I'm a part of that team. We've been training officers to deal with mental health calls. We had 15 graduate last month, and total 29 officers. And it's really, truly, it's a county-wide effort. And making sure that officers are trained to deal with mental health issues. So they've established a peer support team. I know Chief Barrett Taylor and I have talked quite a bit about some type of peer support team as well for the fire department. So they already have them. See. Next year, they know they better get me their reports all on time, right? So they can get all that good information in here. And so they're starting, mental health support for police and their families. And then they received a donation dog, a therapy dog, Freya. Next slide. This is our calls for service. They're up from the previous years. We've had 1,529 calls in the first quarter. So numbers are up. Community policing, go to the next slide. Oh, no, I want to talk about this. Go to the next slide. I threw this one in. I was going to take it out, but we have about $500,000 available for opioid settlement money that we haven't come up with a program yet, or what we're going to support. But this was 2023, and I wanted to highlight this a little bit because we know there are issues everywhere. Community at large, I want you to start thinking about that. We have $500,000 for support and educating people around substance abuse. And how do we support that with our veterans, with our young people, with everybody in the community? So I wanted you to see this because we need to start thinking about putting some type of task force together on how to spend that $500,000. And we'll get a little bit of money every year. But we've received 2 installments, and we have about $500,000. So that's a chunk of change that we can really change some lives and save some lives. Next one. Community outreach. Well, you see it. But what's new, they're doing coffee with the chiefs. Is it the second Monday each month? Second Monday at McDonald's. And then they're doing chatting with the chiefs on WIMS. All right, I am way getting there. Next slide. Parks and Recs. Go to the next slide. Well, I'm going to tell you, Robin and Shannon are one and the same. I ask if I bring up something about a policy. Oh, we covered that. Oh, we've done that. They're on their stuff, I tell you. But they got a lot of projects happening. I don't think we realize how much is done around grants in Parks and Recs. But I will say that Shannon writes grants, and she's been dealing with NERPC. And now she has Will Walker dealing with NERPC as well, which is a good thing. And when I look at the Singing Sands Trail Phase 3, I'm going to just talk numbers. That project number was $9 million for that. $9 million total. And the money raised through Ready Grants, through NERPC, and the city match, $1.5 million. That's how that is getting done, that trailway. And then next we have the Water Tower Park renovation, which is getting ready to be underway. We used some CDBG money for that. That's $1 million project at Water Tower Park. Fetters Alley, this is big. Fetters Alley, this all-inclusive playground, and Councilman Don Pribolinski has been such a cheerleader for this to happen in the community. And this is to support this is a regional project because it's supporting children that may be differently able and not have the access. And this project is a $4 million project, of which $1 million came from Congressman Frank Mervan in this year, as a matter of fact. And then the council and the city kicked in the rest. But we have $1 million to raise. So we have a fund that is being established at the Unity Foundation to help us with our fundraising for the other $1 million. So we're excited about that. And then the old bandstand preservation project, if you rode around that was that's a $425,000 project. And a very big piece of our history here in Michigan City. And then the senior center, they opened up all of the windows finally in that center. So, how are you on the beach without a view? So now there's a view there. So that is exciting. We have a new wolf exhibit at the zoo, which is cool. I didn't know that until she submitted this, so this is cool. So I'll make sure I get to the zoo this year. Make sure you go to the zoo. We are one of very few cities in the state of Indiana that has a zoo of this caliber, in the whole state of Indiana. So that's something to be proud of. Next one. New programs and events. The duo of Walker and Eason has been interesting. We're getting all these new programs that are happening. Where's Will at? Glad, you know what? It's good when you can get a hometown kid come back and raise his family. So I appreciate it. I had to beg a little bit, but he's here, so that's a good thing. And I love how him and Shannon work together. So now we have an adult basketball league. We just had our first drop-in youth basketball clinic that's free. Was that last weekend? Sunday. We're working on pickleball courts. We're doing a murder mystery dinner at Memorial Hall on May 24th. We're doing a princess tea at Barker Mansion on 9/14 in September. Mark your calendars. And then we have Pantries in the Park that is a joint collaboration with our local carpenters union. So we're going to be putting more pantries in other parts. How many? 6 more? 6 more pantries in the park. So that is a beautiful thing to support the community. The Port Authority, Tim Frame, I don't know if I saw Tim. Oh, how did you sneak in too? He's in the very back. So Tim is important to our Washington Park area. Right now they've been doing, it's not their season. They've been doing a lot of routine maintenance and repairs, but they're 96% full there. So that's a big deal. Next. And our events. We have our event planner, Terry Greetham. He's continuing to bring events, but we're talking for future things. We're talking bigger. I had him go upstairs to look at this theater. We want a lot more cultural events for the community, and we need to use places like this to do that. We need to support these spaces and activate them more often. We want arts in the park. We want concerts. I tell them, having a double track isn't the catch-all be-all. You have to have things activated in the city for people to come. Next. All right, man. I said 3 hours. I didn't mean it, but I'll go fast. So these are some of the projects that have been underway. We just had the ribbon cutting for HealthLink, Burnham Brewery. They're open now. The double track is pretty much completed, but now we're dealing with the Franklin at 11th Street, our SOLA, which is our You Are Beautiful site, our new Woodland Ridge subdivision, and Beechwood subdivision at Beach Walk. Go to the next slide. We know how much money was spent on this project. The actual project for the double track is, as was stated, was like 96% complete. So there's just a few, things that they got to get done, like our quiet zones and some things like that. Next slide. This is our project with Flaherty and Collins. $100 million investment. We just had our groundbreaking. As we were talking about it, and I spoke about it at the groundbreaking, is that, the Redevelopment Commission took a risk. We were underway with building just a parking garage. And Michigan City is better than just having a parking garage at that station. And a lot of folks didn't think this could happen. And we're actually naysayers about this happening. And now it's happening. This is going to be ready. The actual apartments will be ready 2026, the end of 2026. Parking garage is underway, as you can see, construction happening. but this is a big deal for Michigan City. But for people to want to live there, we got to have music, we got to have arts, we got to have culture, we got to have all those things. Next slide. SOLA, this is our Farpoint development. This is going to be awesome. So I'm just going to say this out loud. This is right outside of my window at my office. So y'all need to help us find a new city hall, okay? Because this is going to be townhomes, condos, retail space, rooftop, and that construction is going to be starting soon. Utilities have been relocated, and they're working through finishing that, but it's literally right outside of my window. So Mary's going to need a new office here soon, but this is a big deal that people are investing this kind of money in Michigan City. Next slide. We are getting ready to release our RFP. It's almost ready for real estate development opportunities. It used to just be Fifth and Pine, but you can see now that this RFP includes 2.5 blocks from Pine Street to Michigan Boulevard off of 5th Street. This is another opportunity, and people are looking at Michigan City. Next one. Woodland Ridge, we haven't had a new subdivision in forever, 50 years, over 50 years. And you just had your development meeting with them, pre-construction meeting with them. So it's not even 33, isn't it 50? 55 new units that are going to go in the first phase now. It was a good meeting. You had all the utility folks there, the engineers, the developers, everybody was there. So those are over by Paz Road, off of Paz Road. So those will be coming online next. And then look into the future. Vibrant Michigan City is important. Communications, new website and branding. We're going to move to a city newsletter, have some town halls, and then hopefully next year, early in the year, my goal is to have a retreat with our department heads and city council members to start planning for the rest of the years to come. And also, as I talked to the controller's office about, we need a capital, a long-term capital plan, capital investment plan, so that we stop running fire drills to pay for things. Because I'm pretty fiscally conservative in the fact that we need to wean ourselves off of the riverboat money for operations. And then we have legacy projects, the Indiana State Prison I shared, and NIPSCO as well. So if you go to the next slide. That's it. Okay. So let me say this. It's been busy for me. I don't know if you've been to City Hall, and I want to give a shout out to our city clerk and our deputy clerk. We got Gail Nyla and Amanda here in the back, who are also the backbone for the city council as a partner. And I want to make sure I give them a shout out. I can get a slide from you next year too. Put it up here. We work on that. And but if you come into city hall now, it's bustling. It's busy. People are smiling. Even the people are mad. Because I come talk. I don't have a problem talking to people. So I think I have a calming voice, but I think it's important that residents see us. And one of the things that I've also asked our department heads, assistant department heads, I want them to join boards and commissions out in the nonprofits and start being a part of the community. I truly believe that's a part of their job, is to be a part of the community, to attend events and do those things. And last thing, for our first charitable gala, we've sold out for our gala. And we're going to be able to give out almost $100,000 over this next year because of everybody's support. Everybody's support. I think people feel the energy and understand that it's not about me, it's about we, it's about all of us. So I thank you all for coming today, and I look forward to the rest of this year and the next 3 years. So thank you for coming. Also, I'm going to have our department heads hang around for about 15 minutes or so. If y'all got questions, ask them. Ask them. They are willing and able to answer anything you have a question about. And I think that's important that you get to know them. I didn't name everybody, but get to know them because they serve the community. Thank you.